Hello and welcome to this video. Today we're going to repair an Easter bunny's ears. It is after Easter now, but essentially I found this bunny at an acquaintance's place and they really love their decorative bunnies, and this is a fairly old one. They have a lot of this type and they didn't have the ears anymore, but I offered them to repair it since I have clay and other tools that you need for this kind of job. So I'm going to try and get this bunny back into shape. Starting off with some epoxy sculpt and also some wire, I drilled some holes in the head off camera and added some wire pieces to stabilize the ears. I'm going to have to trim the wire a little bit more because it was like not the right shape and was constantly poking out of the clay. But here you can see my first try when I tried to texture it, because the figure has a lot of texture. The clay was way too soft still. The problem is I need it to be this soft to shape it so that it will adhere to the figure still. But no matter how much I tried to support it with my finger and stuff, it just flattened out and smooshed. So I decided I'm going to do this differently. I took off the ears and I textured the inside before I placed it back onto the figure. And that actually worked decently well. This took me quite a while, so by the end of it the clay was not sticky enough anymore to adhere, but I'm positive that with some super glue and some sanding of the base and the ears I can get it to adhere pretty decently again. I did have some issues with the wires still trying to poke out, but I think I managed to blend it decently well with some water. This was a lot more tricky than I thought initially. I think what I should have done is I should have probably just sculpted them first, let the base mostly harden, and then go in with a blade while it's still slightly soft but not as soft anymore, and then just add the texture that way. But I was stubborn here. I don't know why I didn't just, plop the ears there and wait. I guess I just wanted them to look really nice and perfectly blend into the figure before they cured. But yeah, it took me quite a while, but I think in the end I managed to get things decently well. And then I used my sanding stick and just sanded the base a little bit more. This is a resin type figure, so it is fairly smooth and hard where it broke. So I had to give it some texture with the sanding stick. Sadly it removed a little bit of the paint from the head, but I want to repaint it anyway since it has some spots where the paint chipped off in other places already. Plus I don't really have this type of green tone, and I knew that fixing the edges of where things broken off would have been super hard, so I just decided to completely repaint the head later. But after the ears were finally dried and completely set in place, it was time to paint it. And these resin-based figures, they tend to have almost a glaze paint, you could say. It is very see-through, so the main colors come from the layers underneath. And this figure has some green and yellow tones, so I'm trying to build that up. I tried to start with a skin tone or a light sand color to kind of mimic what the resin color was before. And then I went in with some washes in greenish and orangey yellowish colors, before then going in with some darker brown ones to kind of tone them in the right colors. I know I will not get the colors and the textures to perfectly match, but my goal is to make them close enough that you don't notice that it's different, except for if you really closely stare at it. And I just hope that the hat will break the points, the visual points between the original and the ears I sculpted. I definitely needed a lot of coats because color matching was not easy. But I think in the end I got it pretty well. I added some brown tones, a lot of lighter tones. I added some pink in the ears by the end. And I just tried to make things blend a little bit more. There was no real reference, but I found a really blurry picture of the same figure, just with different colors online. So I kind of used that for the ear shape, but for the colors it was like way too different. So I'm just going with like what I remember the other figures kind of looked like. I'm trying to like keep them very soft and light, still with that yellowy greenish undertone that is like all throughout the figure. And I think by the end I was pretty happy. It took like a decent 2 hours of just back and forth, and that is without drying time, until I finally was in a place where I was happy with the colors. But I still added like 2 layers of wash, one sandy one to like get it to be a little bit more yellow, and then one like darker brown one to highlight all the little textures that I made. And then once I was done, I just painted the head with a dry brush. Sadly, I forgot to film that, but here you can see the result. And you may notice the head is slightly darker than it was before. Before that it had more of the color of the dress, now it has more of the color of the backpack. But like that's the only green that was close enough that I could mix and match. So that is the color I mixed up, and I think it fits pretty well with the figure. You can still see the undertones of the lighter green underneath, but like the darker one really highlights the textures, plus all of the chip paint has vanished now. Sadly, I forgot to record a before, so you can't see it in comparison, but here are the ears together with the figure. And yeah, if you like have it on a windowsill or something and you look at it further back, you really can't tell that I fixed its ears. And most importantly, my acquaintance was really happy to get her figure back repaired. But let me know in the comments down below what you think of this repair. Do you guys think that I did the figure justice? Do you guys think that the ear pose and like the size and shape matches the figure well? But yeah, I am super happy with like the final result. And I had so much fun making this because like it made me so happy that my acquaintance could get their figure back, and just to see their reaction was just absolutely worth it. But as always, thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day. See you next time. Bye bye!